Hi everyone. I'm just starting my life from Tel Aviv. My name is Dasha and I'll wait for some time for people to join. Hi. And basically let me know if you hear me well and if you see me well. I'm gonna try and attach the name of this live. Okay. For now you will look at me for some time. Hi guys, I'm from Tel Aviv and write in the comments where you're watching me from. Super curious to meet you. Welcome everyone. I see that there is one person. Let me know where you're from and what's your name. And let me just tell about myself. My name is Dasha. I live in Tel Aviv, but I'm originally from Moscow. And I moved here 10 months ago and I really love this city. I've been traveling a lot to choose where I want to live and I chose this one. And today I hope to explain you why I like it so much. And just let me wait for 5 more minutes before we start our tour. And while we're waiting, I really want to learn more about you and where you're watching me from and how is things in your towns. As you can see in here, it's really sunny and actually I put a lot of sunscreen not to get burned today during this walk because normally I try to stay at home at this middle of the day when the sun is super hard. We already have summer for, I don't know, a couple months. The weather in Tel Aviv is incredible. Okay, Nadezhda wrote that she's from Amsterdam, originally from Moscow. Let me know how things are in Amsterdam. So yeah, here it's super hot and today is Wednesday, so it's like Thursday in all other countries in the world because our end of the week is Friday and Saturday, Shabbat, for those who don't know. So we're approaching the weekend and the atmosphere is really chill. We're almost out of Corona. Israel was one of the first countries to lock everyone down, so we kind of get rid of Corona quite fast. And now already all the restaurants are working, all the clubs are working, these public spaces and shops have to test your temperature at the entrance and we have to wear masks in the shops, but not in the streets anymore. And I'm really happy to be out of my house in the streets, and I hope to show you the really beautiful city of Tel Aviv today and inspire you to come because, you know, like a Jew who moved to Israel, and Israel is like, for Israel it's really important to promote itself for foreigners, to explain why we're here, why it's important for Jewish people to be here, and like promote it in Europe as a destination to come. I want to contribute to this and basically inspire you to see the city with the new eyes and to learn more about it. And when we are out of this Corona stuff, sorry for talking about it, hope to see you all here. And as a locally, I'm really happy to meet with you and show you around in person. But yeah, for now, I think let's start because we have just 1 hour, and I'll let you know where I am. Basically, Tel Aviv is quite a big city and it's really diverse, and today we'll walk around the South Tel Aviv, which is really special because North Tel Aviv, like Central Tel Aviv, is really businessy oriented and we'll see the huge skyscrapers that are there. The north is more residential and the south is like a hub for culture, for young people, for new initiatives taking off. So I wanted to show you this part of the city. And now I decided to start at the Suzanne Dalal Center. It's a dance center in Neve Tzedek district, quite next to the sea, but we get to the sea a bit later. Here is the nice square for people to hang out, but what I wanted to start with is this wonderful mosaic. I like it because it kind of shows the history of Tel Aviv, but in really kind of modernistic, not normal mosaic style. And we'll get back to some of the images from this nice artwork during our walk. So here it tells kind of the history of Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv was founded just a bit more than 1,000 years ago, and the guys who were building it used these pretty animals to do it. And it was really interesting story because people who wanted to establish the city were Jews from all around the world, and as you might know, Jews are really intelligent and open-minded people and really creative. So the best technologies were used in establishing the city, but the methods were very simple, like camels. And here you can see the Jaffo port. It's where the city started from. It's the old city in Palestine, and we'll end our tour there today. These are the first people who were building Tel Aviv. Like, also you can see very simple guys with cars, but really inspired. And this is Suzanne Dalal Center, where we are right now, this building. And this neighborhood was one of the first ones in Tel Aviv, so that's where we started from here. And yeah, this is the train that went from Jaffo to Jerusalem, not to here, to Jerusalem, to basically connect these two main life centers, because Jaffo was like the main port, the main gate to Middle East at the times, and Jerusalem, of course, was center of several world religions. And we'll see the reminiscence of the old train station that was used even at those times. I see that more people are coming. Let me know where you're from, and let's walk in the beautiful Neve Tzedek neighborhood. I always bring my friends who come to Tel Aviv to this neighborhood because I really like the vibe. You can see that there are very small buildings, and it's a really neighborhood feeling, and the architecture reminds kind of European style. You see the kind of like the red roofs on the buildings, a lot of flowers, quite expensive houses here, so there are mostly private houses in this neighborhood. And as I said, this was one of the first neighborhoods in Tel Aviv, and now with the time it got more expensive. Well, because when it was just established, people didn't need big houses. They could afford build whatever basically they want, because it was just the desert here. So they built what they felt like building, and when the city started developing, it became more expensive. And now people who can afford this kind of living is mostly French guys. So French Jews, there is a really big movement among French people to move to Israel. Moods that are now in France, and French Jewish community is really rich, and basically, yeah, they move in here. They moved mostly to this, well, not mostly to this neighborhood, but that's where we can find them. And you can see they can afford these really nice houses with a lot of flowers around them. And I can say that real estate in Tel Aviv is fucking so expensive, so I don't even know how much it would cost to live in this place. But it's nice to hang out, because I can say that Tel Aviv is really green city. There are not so many trees in the streets. I don't know, maybe Maybe I'm not exactly right, it depends on the neighborhood, and we'll see the next neighborhood which is not so green. But when I used to live in that neighborhood, this Neve Tzedek area was like a green oasis for me. And I love the plants that I can see here as they're blossoming all year round, and I'm always exploring them because they're plants that I've never seen before in my life, and every time of the year new flowers start to blossom. It's really beautiful. So yeah, this is Neve Tzedek, the French neighborhood. And basically what I wanted to show you today is that Tel Aviv neighborhoods are very different, and the communities that live there are super different, and you can't even imagine that it's the same city. And yeah, within 1 hour we will cover 4 or 5 neighborhoods and see how they're totally different. Such a cute puppy. And maybe you remember I started on the mosaic. There was the picture of a train that went from Jaffo to Jerusalem, and now we're reconstructing the old rails and we're gonna launch the kind of metro in Tel Aviv. Now there is no metro, no subway, and we're gonna have it soon, so we'll be like a true megapolis. And you see already from this bridge that, you know, this small, not so high neighborhood of Neve Tzedek is not what Tel Aviv kind of represents. We see that there are a lot of skyscrapers, and again, as I said, the city was founded only 100 years ago, so all of the skyscrapers are super new. And what Tel Aviv is proud to say about itself is that it's the startup capital of Middle East. There are a lot of startups that were founded here and were bought by big companies like Waze, that was bought by Google, I think. Get Taxi, maybe some of you know it, especially Russian guys. It was founded here. And yeah, and this is the downtown where all the startups sit, and banking systems. And we will finish our walk over there in that neighborhood. It's Jaffo, and the sea is behind those buildings, and we will end up there. But now let's enter another district. This is called Neve Tzedek Tower, the same name as the neighborhood behind us. I really love it. You can see that those are 2-floor apartments. Like, this is 2-floor apartments. This, you see, is 1-floor apartments. So you can imagine how it is to live in such beautiful space. And Tel Aviv is changing and building really fast now. We will also see it soon. Again, talking about the beautiful flowers and trees, I always stop by and take some photos, and actually I learned that you can just cut away part of the plant, put it in water, and it gives roots, and you can plant it in a pot. And I have a lot of plants at my home that I cloned this way. This is rosemary. So you can see a lot of bushes of rosemary that you can take for free because it's just the wild plant here. And I always gather like rosemary, lavender, geranium, mint. You can find just in the streets, and I use it in cooking a lot. So that's like the benefit of living in the tropical city. You can grow your plants, you can use free plants. And actually my friend recently went to the garden where they grow, how is it called? Oranges, like big oranges, I forgot the name. Not pomegranate, grapefruits. And she collected like 10 grapefruits, and we have a lot of them just also growing wild in the streets. And now we're gonna enter another neighborhood, which is divided from that one, from this noisy, kind of ugly street. This neighborhood is one of my favorites. It's called Florentin, and it's a neighborhood of artists and youngsters who, like students, people who dedicate themselves to art. It used to be very cheap to live here, so a lot of people moved in, and they were kind of also encouraged by the government to do it. And this is how this neighborhood started to flourish, and now it's all covered with graffiti and art everywhere. And I'm really into this kind of street art, so I was exploring it a lot in this neighborhood. And the funny thing I learned about it, I don't know if I can zoom in. Oh yeah, I can zoom in. What I learned about it is that there are not so many street artists in Tel Aviv, and you can easily learn to recognize their style and understand whose work it is. So this is the Misk. She always draws some characters with funny eyes and in a lot of colors. I'm a friend of her, and she has basically her studio right there. I think that means the names are really similar, and the styles sometimes are also really similar, so it's hard to confuse them. But yeah, more about Florentin. As I said, artists moved in here, and it became a center of young people, hipsters, nightlife, clubs, arts. LGBT community is like one of the main communities here. But now it's being really changed, like it changes a lot. Just want to show you more works of like more street art of Tel Aviv. It was really funny. I met one street artist, and he told me that Tel Aviv used to fight a lot with artists and paint, like delete all the graffiti from the streets, but the artists continue doing it. And now Tel Aviv municipality, on the other hand, encourages them to do more art, and even starts doing the street art tours and position themselves as street art capital of Middle East, which pisses off the graffiti artists who kind of don't want Tel Aviv municipality to take advantage of their art. But yeah, that's what's happening. And you see this street is full of workshops, really cheap real estate where people can live and create. This is really famous bar that's always full of people. But yeah, as I said, artists and young crowd helped to develop this neighborhood, and the real estate here became more expensive because it brought a lot of attention to this area. And when I moved to Tel Aviv, this building wasn't here, like it was just started to being built, and to see like in 8 months, 10 months it's finished. And they're building it really fast, and to do that they take down all this old and workshops and small houses. I used to live on the second floor of this house, and it was really crazy. It was like a loft, and every day this guy was looking me in the eyes to my balcony. It was almost like living in the streets. You can imagine that people can see you from the street. You can see everyone coming and going. But I moved to another neighborhood where I feel more like I have my own space and not living in the middle of the street with the people. So let me show you. So as I said, this is the neighborhood of young people. There are almost no kids here, but a lot of dogs, and actually dogs are a really big thing in Tel Aviv. Like someone told me that for every 17 people in the city there is one dog, and it's like one of the top cities in terms of dogs per person. You know what I mean? And dogs are super friendly, not like in Moscow when they meet they kind of act more aggressive to each other. Here they're maybe because of the vibe of their owners, they're super friendly, wanting to meet, play all the time. And this building behind the dogs is the Museum of Ethiopic Culture. Ethiopic community is also quite big in Tel Aviv. Unfortunately, it never opened because Corona came, and now it's still closed, so I don't know what happened to it, but I liked the initiative. And this is a synagogue, and you can see how in Florentin everything is possible, and it's a synagogue covered with some crazy graffiti. But let me show you the essence of Florentin. As I said, it's the center for bars, clubs, and fortunately most of them are open already and people start getting back to seeing them. There is all kinds of kitchens, all kinds of food to eat, really interesting crowd. Sorry, I'm walking in the middle of the street, maybe not the best idea. So this is, I think it's Ethiopian place, restaurant, and what they serve is food in these baskets. I never had it, but like inside the basket they have like separated places for small kinds of entries or starters. I don't know how to call it best. There's some pizza place and whatever, and yeah, this is one of the main restaurant bar street. You can see the kind of people that hang around this area. Very free, open-minded, artistic. As I said, it's the center for LGBT community, and LGBT people from all over the world come to Tel Aviv. A lot of my friends in Russia who are LGBT, queer, felt not comfortable there. They came here and can live open, free, and of course they go to Florentin because that's the place to go. Actually, if you didn't know, Gay Pride is huge in Tel Aviv, and I'm looking forward for it. I hope it happens. Should happen in June. I see almost no one is wearing masks, and like seeing a mask now is even a bit weird. It still happens, and of course people try to do it fashionably. This place is open 24/7. It's a place to go for hangover breakfast. As you see, a lot of construction, and the whole neighborhood is being rebuilt into more fancy buildings, and it's changing in front of our eyes, and it's not gonna be so artistic soon, but that's the gentrification process that happens with such artistic neighborhoods. And as I said, there are a lot of pets, and only on this street there are like 5 or 6 pet shops, because dogs are something that Tel Avivans can't resist. Oh, look, new art. Hey, Manshma. I really like this place. It's called Club 27, and you can see on this graffiti are all the famous people who died at the age of 27, and there is a legend that the last character is the author of this graffiti. Don't know if it's true or not, but this is a place to hang out. There is a small kinder playground for kids, where there are no kids because there are no kids in Florentin. On the other hand, the drug policy in Tel Aviv is very liberal and free, and that means that if you I laughed a lot when my friends told me that. I'll show you the graffiti and talk. So I was sitting with a friend outside in the cafe, and he took out a joint, and I just moved to Tel Aviv, and I said, is it okay that you smoke a joint in the street? Can policemen come to you and say something? He said, well, yeah, the policeman can come and say something to me, but how would people look at him if he does it? Like, who would do that? That kind of tells about the approach of the government to drugs. It's not legal, but it's like the medical marijuana is legal, but they're very loyal kind of to people smoking in the streets. You don't have to do it like in their face, but it's fine. So I was saying that because instead of kids, there are some junkies normally hanging out on the playground, and pigeons. But at the evening it's really pretty. place to hang out. And here I also wanted to show this graffiti that also, like, I know that it's done by a French girl, French artist. She does with paste street art works, and as you see, it says we were all once refugees, and that's the kind of vibe we have in Tel Aviv. Really accepting of everyone, because all the people who came here, almost no one is like it's their land. It's the land of all the Jews who were spread all around the world and who were refugees at some point. And it's important to remember it. And of course there are some tensions between different societies here, because, you know, Arabs and Jewish live side by side. As I said, also Ethiopians, French, Russian people, and there is some tension, but general attitude is really welcoming and accepting. Let's see what the guy does with the art. I love street art because it happens so fast. Like, I'm sure if I come in the evening or like in 1 hour, he will finish it already. Curious what he's working on. Anyway, we'll see. So, if you have any questions, by the way, you're very welcome to drop them in the comments. And for now, I'll be walking back the same street that we walked. I'll show you again the crowd. People watching on Florentin is really curious, because everyone looks really cool and dressed up and nice all the time and freaky in many ways. So you see, it's not a posh neighborhood, but people who live it really love it for the vibe. Everything is really simple and built from scratch using not fancy materials, but it collaborates to the artistic vibe around it. Okay, and now what I want to show you is, like, we kind of got back to the same street that we started exploring Florentin from, this one, and I want to show you more how this neighborhood used to be, like the whole neighborhood. We already see what it's starts to become with this all new posh buildings, but it used to be what we call with my friends favelas, which means that these small buildings, garages, I don't even know how to call them, were built from scratch by people who basically came here. They had nowhere to live and they had to build themselves a house, and that's what they built. And it's amazing that it's still here, and there are workshops, like wooden workshops here. People started living here, and how they deal with the design of their house is really amazing for me. I was looking for a flat in this area and I would love to live here. I didn't find anything, but the community, the art, the open-mindedness and the creativity in solving all the questions is really amazing. But unfortunately, the city plan is to demolish these small places. See, it's a wooden workshop. This is one of my favorite places in Tel Aviv. I know it's weird, but I really love this small spot because I've never seen a place like this anywhere else. You can see that there are just layers and layers of tags. Just a lot of layers, not one single big piece. Everyone is welcome to try and paint something. And this is something that you feel a lot in Tel Aviv, that all kinds of creativity is really encouraged and welcome. So as I was starting to say, this area I think in a couple of years it's gonna be demolished and they will build huge residential buildings like the one that we saw. Let me see. Yeah, you see, they're working on it. Buildings like this. I kind of like how they look like, but it's sad that this part of the city history is gonna be forgotten. Okay, now we're on our way to a really interesting neighborhood. I'll tell more about it when we approach it. This is the school, and I love how the school looks here. I used to vote in this school actually when I had elections. Let's see if I can film. Can you see the cover of the playground? It's amazing. And this school is really modern, and my friend told me yesterday that they have like a drawing class where they use forgot the name, like iPads and fancy software and hardware to draw. And basically the kids and family and developing of kids is really big thing in Israel. Parents try a lot to take care of the kids. I think we saw this dog before. And the playgrounds in Israel is also really something. Unfortunately we won't see it today, but recently I visited a playground that I never saw before. It looked like an art object. It was made of huge wooden sticks that you can climb in many ways, and it looked nothing like a playground. And that just tells me about the creativity and open-mindedness of Israelis when it comes to architecture. Because architecture here, like you can't find two similar buildings. I want to tell you a couple of words about this park that everyone was so fascinated about, because here used to be the parking lot. A huge parking lot that divided two neighborhoods, Florentin one and this one. And then they basically demolished it and built a beautiful park that now has the kids playground, the dog walking area, a lot of flowers, soldiers walking around in the weekday time. So Tel Aviv is kind of trying to be nice to its citizens and not only think about how to use the space to earn money, but build some community spaces, invest in communities and their well-being. And this one is a really cool example of it. I used to live nearby and go here with my dog every day. I love to see families hanging out just outside. It's really funny because during Corona time, oh, you see these beautiful flowers, amazing. Unfortunately, you can't feel the smell, but they smell really good. During Corona time, when all the bars and restaurants were closed, people really discovered again that they could go out in the streets. And I feel really lucky that I live in Tel Aviv because the weather is amazing and basically you don't need nothing. You can just go out in the streets, sit on the stairs, sit on the square, on the lawn, on the beach of course, and you're already spending good time. And also I travel everywhere by bike. I was a bit sad that I had to leave my bike for this walk because I have to go back somehow else. Maybe I will walk, maybe I will use, I don't see one here, but shared scooters is really something popular in Tel Aviv. And this is amazing when you can move around the city without a car. So, isn't it summer break in schools? No, I think it's not summer break in schools. I think it starts in July even. So, I don't know. So okay, let me tell you about this neighborhood. This is something really special, and it's a small neighborhood that is called American Village. and it was built by American Jews that moved to Tel Aviv. And you can see again that the architecture here is very special and very different from the ones we saw in Neve Tzedek, with the red roofs and small two-story buildings, more kind of European style, I would say. And Florentin, where there are favelas that doesn't look like homes in any way, and the big modern projects, those ones, you can say that they look kind of American, like colonial style of America, and you see the vibe is totally different. Everything is very clean, very thought through. I mean, this house is so white. I can't even understand how they managed to keep it so white. This is the Catholic cathedral. Like, to see a wooden house in Tel Aviv, this is something really, really unique. So yeah, this is, I think maybe it's a Lutheran cathedral. This is the community center, and community centers is this concept that I never heard about actually in back in Moscow, but here every neighborhood has a community center. That's the building and some area in front of it sometimes that allows the community who lives in the neighborhood come there, meet each other. They do some events like movie screenings, Shabbat dinners, workshops, and whatever. Basically the place to meet your neighbors, and I love this concept. But let's go back to looking at the beautiful American village. This kind of looks like south of America to me, like more close to Cuba. The small building, the gallery, the amazing flowers, but very expensive. Guys who are still with me, I'm happy to be here with you, and I remind that I'm Dasha and I'm here from Tel Aviv showing you around the city. And we're in the American village, and this square, this is actually lemons, and in autumn we will have some fruits that we can gather and eat. And it's been reconstructed. The whole square was like this, but then they tore down all the buildings and built something really nice and pretty. I think I'm really happy that they didn't put huge skyscrapers here. And the story that I heard about this building is that it's privately owned, and the owner didn't want his house to be torn down unless they build a skyscraper in this place, which is like totally crazy. But people who own real estate in Tel Aviv are gods because it's so expensive. So he was basically waiting for someone to give him the right price to take this land. And recently I noticed that there is a plan for this building, and it's not gonna be a skyscraper, it's gonna be some really pretty small house. But I can imagine that means that someone who wants to build this house offered a lot of money to someone who owns this house. And I'm happy to answer all your questions if you have them. So we are leaving the American Village neighborhood, and I'm walking towards Jaffo now. We're gonna pass another small neighborhood, Noga. I also like it, and when I was looking for flat, I thought to have flat here, and it's really cool because it's pretty close to the sea and close to Florentin, the art neighborhood that we visited, that I kind of really like. Maybe the streets themselves are not so pleasant. Let me show you. Like, this street is nothing interesting, but there are small squares and they're very similar, like living with neighbors, sharing flats, this LGBT community, art scene, techno clubs, and in general love to electronic music. Even like the style of architecture, there are a lot of buildings built by architects from Bauhaus school. They're a bit more to the north from the neighborhoods that I showed you today, but they represent a big part of Tel Aviv image. It's said it's often called White City and Bauhaus City in the Middle East. So let me show you this nice place. It's the coffee place, sandwich place with a lot of. I think it became flower shop also. I don't know. I didn't see this all flowers before. I actually love this one. It's one of my favorite plants. You see the green leaves and the purple leaves on the other side. And as I said, like everywhere in Tel Aviv is pleasant. You can sit on stairs and feel comfortable. I love these small benches, like one-on-one meeting benches, and how people feel free to live in the city. You see this small attachment. It was done by independent project that's called Molet, and the guys use wooden pallets to upcycle them to urban furniture and home furniture, and they basically came and installed the small cup holders on this square. This tells me that people here really feel like they own the city, that it's their city and they're free to make it more convenient for themselves. Of course there are conflicts with municipality, but municipality is kind of encouraging people to feel that way also. This is what I like about it. And while we are approaching Jaffo, which is what most of the people know about Tel Aviv, is that there is the old city of Jaffo, where it started from. I'll tell you a bit about myself maybe. I moved to Tel Aviv 10 months ago, and I had this idea of opening a creative cluster here. It's a space that would be a home, like a residence for artists, craftsmen, and small social entrepreneur projects, or just projects by local citizens, and would be open for public, so that people can come and see the works and learn more about the crafts and arts and sustainability, also ecology. And I'm trying to look for a space here in Tel Aviv and collaborate with municipality and meet art community here. So my journey is pretty interesting so far. You're welcome to follow me on Instagram. On the last post of this account, I am posting a lot about the city and my adventures here. And wait, so now we're entering Jaffo. This is kind of the street that divides Jaffo from other cities, and we already saw it before. They are building the subway, the tram that will make Tel Aviv a real megapolis, because we'll have our own tram lines. But for now it's making this street not available for people to enjoy, but we're waiting, and once the stations are opened, I think it will become more accessible and more people will come and it will live again. And let's enter Jaffo. Hope you can see something with all this light, because I almost don't see anything. But I was walking here yesterday and I noticed this building again, and I'm really amazed by how it looks like. You see all the balconies and the palm trees and the brick texture, structure, Israel flags everywhere. This kind of reminded us with my friend of Barcelona. I love it. And you see Jaffo, as I said, it's the old city of Tel Aviv. It's I don't know how old is it, but really old. And it's a port, a navy port. All the merchants, like it was the gate to Middle East. it connected Europe and Africa and Middle East, and all the salesmen and merchants used to come here to sell their stuff. And it was an Arabic city, so a lot of architecture features and styles kind of remind us about it. The material that was used, you see, like the old stones, big stones. This is really funny toy shop. So it's centuries old, and Tel Aviv basically started as the Jewish living, like a residential neighborhood next to Jaffo, and now it kind of overgrew it and became the capital of Middle East startups and gay life. And actually, I don't know if you know it, but Tel Aviv is called, like the official name of Tel Aviv is Tel Aviv Jaffo. So they're kind of still two cities, which is, I don't know how it works, because in general Tel Aviv and the cities that are close to it have no borders, so you just cross the street and you are in another city. And this concerns many cities in Tel Aviv, many towns. So with Tel Aviv and Jaffo, we saw that like just one street divides it, and it's kind of all another city. There is sea over there, and we're gonna finish next to the sea really soon. But let's explore Jaffo first. You see like this old arches, architecture features like this ornament. Really tells us how old it is, and it's not in the best state, but Tel Aviv municipality is investing a lot in Jaffo, and they try to promote it as artist neighborhood, because artists used to have a lot of studios here in the old town, and they're trying to build the image of this neighborhood around this idea. And of course it's the touristic, like the most touristic area of Tel Aviv, I think. So they need to keep up with modern tourist standards and develop it. I think they're not so fast in it, but they're trying. And this is kind of like the main square of Jaffo. It's like square with clocks. And we don't see it from here, but there is a mosque somewhere there. And on this square during Christmas they put Christmas tree, because this is the neighborhood where Arabs who are Christians and Muslim live together, also alongside with Jews. So this is just a melting pot of all the cultures of the Middle East, and it's represented in the architecture, in the shops that we see around us, in the people talking to each other. And I want to show you the amazing Tel Aviv beach. The Tel Aviv has a really long beach. I don't know how many kilometers, but it's really cool because wherever you live in the city, the sea is kind of close to you. And I used to live in Florentin, and the sea was like 15 minutes walking. Now I moved a bit north, and the sea is like 5 minutes walking from my house. And it sounds like bragging, but I love it so much that every morning I can go to the sea to swim or to meditate. A lot of people do meditation here, yoga and acro yoga and all kind of mindfulness practices, because when you live next to the sea, next to the beach, it's really easy to connect to yourself, I would say. And I'm showing you the old Jaffo, like it's the postcard view. You can see that on a lot of postcards, like the towers of Jaffo, this kind of peninsula, and the people chilling. Let's stalk some girls. This game is really popular in Tel Aviv. I don't know the name, but everyone plays it. This is like, it's called Arabic beach. It's like all the beaches are also different. Here there is a lot of street art, graffiti and so on. Here you see like the panorama view of Tel Aviv, which is amazing. All the skyscrapers with IT startups and banking companies, real estate agencies. You can see over here the red roofs of Neve Tzedek, the neighborhood where we started our tour. And the beach is like over there. It's a dog beach where the dogs are allowed to play without a leash. Right there is my beach where I live. It's much wider and yeah, much more people can fit. And there are also beach bars and clubs, which I normally don't go to, but they gather a lot of people, and Israelis really like to hang out in the beaches. There is a huge bike lane alongside the beach and just the pavements, so a lot of people run in Tel Aviv. Running is a thing here. I don't know what else to tell you. We have 10 more minutes, so let me maybe just walk towards Jaffo gardens, or we can stay and look at the beach, which also sounds quite fun. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them or to add me on Instagram and write me and PM me. I kind of wanted to show the Jaffo gardens, but I don't know if we have time for it. But I see there are three people with me. Thank you for being with me, and I hope it was interesting for you, and I hope I told you something new and inspired you to come and check it out. How long I live here? I live here for a bit more than 10 months. So as they say here, I'm Ola Hadasha, which means that I'm a new repatriant, new immigrant. I speak some Hebrew. I'm learning it by myself, but the language, of course, is totally different from all other languages that I used to learn or speak. But it's like a challenge for me to learn it myself. I want to do it. So yeah, I'm pretty new, and I'm still discovering it. Sometimes I feel like a tourist, mainly because I'm really curious about learning more about the place, and especially when I'm staring at plants that I never saw before, and there are a lot. I also feel this, the feeling that, wow, this is such a wonderful place. I can't believe that I live here, that I am here, and I'm happy to have these feelings towards this place. I want to show you the beautiful flowers, but there's some trash, so I don't know if it's nice. Okay, I don't know how to climb it actually. Okay, here. I want to show you the mosque. And in Jaffo there are a lot of mosques because, as I said, it's Arabic quarter, and everywhere you live you can hear muezzins calling, singing their songs. And when I was in Istanbul, it was really disturbing. I don't know how it is to live here. Actually, sometimes even far away on the beach you can hear muezzins singing in the mosques, which is nice actually when you're kind of far away. And I love how they sing, but maybe to hear it every day would be a bit disturbing. Okay, we still have 5 minutes, so let's walk to the Jaffo gardens. I'm not super good at orientating in this neighborhood, but let's see where it takes us. I think I can enter here. Sorry, but we have to look at the flowers. They're really nice. How can you find me on Instagram? Let me tell you. This is like this. This is my account. And also I'm featured at the locally account where you're watching this live. On the last point, on the last post, there is a link to my account. So I would be happy for you to follow me and contact me. And you see, we went into some small street of Jaffo, and it's really quiet here and peaceful. And we see these features of Arabic architecture, like arched walls, small houses. Oh my God, you see that? What is it? No idea. Looks like kind of pots that were built into the wall. Wow. And as I said, there are a lot of weird artists residing in this area. I think this is someone lives here. Wow, look at that. So cute. I see that people are still joining us, which is really cool, and we are walking in the old city of Jaffo in Tel Aviv. And I'm Dasha, and we're finishing in 5 minutes, but I'm happy to see you here. And yeah, right now we're in Jaffo and we're exploring the beautiful flora of this neighborhood. And I actually don't know where this road will bring me, but let's figure out together. And I was saying that Jaffo is also a really artistic neighborhood, and we see that people are very creative. And this is what, like a Lego panel? Wow. And feel free to shoot some other questions if you have them. Otherwise, in 3 minutes, I'll say bye to you. But before that, let's walk a bit more in the Jaffo neighborhood. So I'm not a tour guide and I don't know too much about the history of the city, so I don't want to give you wrong facts, but I can say how it feels now. And Jaffo is really attractive neighborhood, and it's where you feel the history that this city is actually super old, and how it's connected with the modern life, because you see, like, this one is old building. On the background we see a really modern project, and Tel Aviv is being rebuilt super fast, and it changes every month new buildings are being established, and the speed with which it does, it's amazing. This is actually a really nice restaurant and club. Hi. I spent New Year. Oh, this is my favorite plant. Wow, look at this. Look at this. It's the size of my hand. I love it. So I celebrated New Year in that club that we just entered. And it was super weird and funny because it was like Russian New Year, and in Israel they call it Novi God. We're celebrating Novi God, and it was basically like, I don't know, some Friday night in a club. No decorations, no nothing, no Putin. It was really weird, so we left and started just walking around the city. So spending New Year here is not a good idea, but any Jewish holidays are really cool to be here at. Like they celebrate the huge